On today's review, we have a good one for you.
That's right, we have the new Pioneer AVH 2330 NEX. So stay tuned. So Pioneer's decided to expand on the NEX line, and they've come out with 5 new models.
Okay.
And what we have here today is one of the limited distribution models, which is the 2330. Limited distribution is noted by the 30 in the number. So we have the 2330, they also make a 2300. They are a slight bit different in that the 30 is going to have HD radio and the ability to add a front-facing camera, which are 2 features we're going to talk about here in a minute. But first, let's unbox this bad boy and see what comes in the box. So you have the standard Pioneer harness. Now this harness did not change. So if you have a previous generation, let's say 2 models back, and you'd like to swap it out for one of these new models, you're good. How you can denote that is by this little tab on the side of the harness. If it has it on the top, it's not going to work. If it has it on the side, it's the same harness. It still comes with the 5-foot USB extension. Comes with the same remote control, bag of screws,
And a white bag.
The Bluetooth microphone. Now, previous models had a pink bag, they had a blue bag, now we have a clear bag.
That's cool.
I don't know if that means anything, but this is what the new radios have. It comes with a quick start guide. Apparently that's new this year, is that everything is just going to come with quick start guides that kind of give you an idea how to basically do things real fast, maybe wire it up. With the full owner's manual, you got to download. Alright. Now what we're going to go ahead is show you the back. Alright, so looking at the back of the radio, we have a whole new design and layout. And what they've done is they've split the circuit board into 2 areas. So now you have all the things that could possibly make noise as far away from the things that are going to put signal out. So to start out with, we have the small Bluetooth microphone right here in the corner. Next to it we have the wired remote input. Next to that we have the SiriusXM input. We have our iData link connection here, our USB, auxiliary, and then main power plug. On this side we have the 4-volt 6-channel preamp output, which is front, rear, sub. The input for Pioneer's AVH U280 add-on navigation system. Backup camera input is brown. Video output is this yellow guy here. And then the AV input are these right here. This one in particular is going to be either an AV input for video or the front camera input. Down here in the bottom corner we have the FM antenna input. So this is recessed in a little bit more this year also. Now we're going to go ahead and turn it around and power this thing up and show you the front. So let's talk about the screen real quick. This is a 7-inch WVGA LED backlit clear resistive touchscreen that is 800 by 480. When the unit first powers up, it asks you to select a language. There's 5 to choose from: English, Spanish, Portuguese, French, and this one. When you're done, select the next arrow. Next is network or standard mode. This is a new feature for the NEX line of radios. The non-NEX radios have had this in the past, so these are the first ones that give you network or standard. Standard is going to be the default, which most of you are going to want to choose. This is going to give you a front, rear, and sub output. Network mode is for active crossover systems in that you get tweeter, mid, and sub output. We'll cover these later in a different video. Select OK. Now, it has the dreaded OK screen, but the OK will go away after about 6 seconds. Once the unit powers up, you'll get to the basic home screen. So one other thing to mention about the radio is that it does have 50 watts of internal power. New also to the radio is the touch bar across the bottom. It's a whole new design and it's a whole new layout. There's a bunch of new buttons to go with it. First thing, which is a holdover from last year, is your volume up and down. This will increase and decrease the volume. It's a little tiny bar that sticks out as opposed to a huge button, so you're going to want to definitely check one of these out. Next is a picture-in-a-picture icon. This will switch between the phone's Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, or the Pioneer screen. So if we click it, it'll pull up our CarPlay. We click it again, it'll bring it back to the Pioneer's, in this case, iPod. Tap it again, CarPlay. You get the idea. Next is the main menu. Now this is a holdover feature from previous models. However, now it is a 2-press button. If you press and hold it, it'll go ahead and power off the unit. And that's a full power off, not a standby. Go ahead and tap it again, it'll wake it back up. The next is this laptop looking button. And what that's designed to do is we're in a feature like AppRadio Live. If you tap it, it'll give you controls for the source that you're listening to. So you can go track up or track back, play pause. It also allows you to hide the toolbar on the side. You can also get into your system menu to change EQ settings, as well as just X out of it. It too has a secondary feature, whereas if you press and hold it, it'll put the radio on mute. You can press and hold it again, and it'll take the radio out of mute. Next, you have the back arrow. If you tap the back arrow, it'll take you back to the last thing that you were doing. And there again, it too has a second purpose. If you press and hold it, it'll shut the display off the radio. It'll keep everything playing, but the screen will be dark. This is good if you're going into a parking garage or a valet service or something like that, where you don't want everyone to see this giant display screen, or if you're driving at nighttime and it's too bright. Tap it again, it'll come back on. Next is the voice button. If you press that, it'll launch the Siri Eyes Free or the Google Voice for Android Auto, followed by the eject button. If you press that, you have 5 levels of tilt in case there's a glare on the screen, or eject. This has a single CD DVD player inside. So no new radio would be complete without an update to the wallpapers and the motion backgrounds. And this one has some new ones. So let's take a look at what you can do as far as customizing the display. To get to the display menu, select Gears, Art Palette, and Backgrounds. Here, you'll see the new backgrounds that are available to you. If you swipe, you also have new motion backgrounds. The grayed out mountain scheme is for your own imported background. Now you can import your own background, and how you do it is select X, put a image that is 800 by 480 onto a thumb drive, plug it into the USB, select USB from your drop down source menu, come over here, select the image that you want, select OK. The image will pop up. This icon right here is download, and it's going to ask you save as AV screen, same as home screen, or save as both. If you select save as both, it's going to give you a warning. Save the image, don't switch off the battery. You definitely don't want to do that. It'll come up and say image saved. Go ahead and select the home button, select Gears, select Art Palette, select Backgrounds, and now when you tap this, this will be your background. Go ahead and X out, select Home, and there you go. You have a new background on your home menu, as well as for your radio. Next is themes. There's 5 different color themes. What those have to do is for your background color in menus. You have a red, an orange, a green, a gray, and of course the blue. Next is illumination. You have the same 5 colors, as well as create your own. You can simply drag the color around here, make it lighter and darker. And then you have scan. This will just go ahead and randomly color change throughout the day. Clock. Clock gives you 3 different display types for your clock, as well as off if you don't want anything. Since you're in the main menu, let's go ahead and take a look at some other things you may want to adjust. Let's go to the tools. The first thing that comes up is AV source settings. Select it. Down here at the bottom, you'll see where it says Bluetooth audio and Spotify. You have the option to turn both those on or off. So if you don't use Spotify and you don't want it in your menu, you can turn it off. If all you're ever going to do is CarPlay, you can also shut off Bluetooth from the menu. You have beep tone. If you don't like the beep that you keep hearing, you can turn it off. Auto mix. Auto mix has to do with the ability to have two different level controls up. So when you're doing something like CarPlay, Android Auto, or AppRadio Live, it gives you the ability to control two separate source levels. So like guidance level in the source that you're listening to, input, output, settings. The only thing you need to do in input, output settings this year is your AV input. If you select it, you have source, camera, and off. If you select camera, this will give you the front camera option for your radio. Here you can also shut off your auxiliary input. So if you're never going to use aux, you can turn it off as well. Camera settings. This is where you turn on and off your backup camera. So if you're installing a backup camera, it's just not automatically going to work. You do have to turn it on. You can also set up parking guidelines, and then go in and actually adjust your guidelines simply by dragging them around to where you like them. Restore settings. Restore settings allows you to actually restore the radio back to out-of-box setup. System information. System information is where your firmware version is, so if there's ever any need for an update or you want to check, you can come here and see where it says firmware, and the current firmware is 0805. Now anytime you have anything to do in the menu system, the emergency brake wire, which is the light green wire on the back of the radio, has to be engaged. If you're trying to do any function like we just showed you and it's grayed out, that's because the light green wire is not engaged. There's a couple different ways you can engage it that we talk about in different videos. It's the emergency brake wire. So depending on how it's installed, you may need to just pull the emergency brake, or if you have a micro bypass, it's just automatically going to work. If you didn't hook it up at all, you're pretty much out of luck. Pull it back out and connect it. Now let's go ahead and talk about some of the sources. So to get to the main menu, go ahead and hit the Windows button and then select AV. This will pull up every option that's available to you. Now if you come over here, go into a source and select this icon, this will actually give you the live options that are currently available to you. The difference is when you're here, you may notice that some of these are faded out. That is because you don't actually have access to those items. So for example, SiriusXM. This doesn't have a built-in SiriusXM. You have to add the SVX300 tuner to it. So until you do that, it's going to stay grayed out. The same is true for Car Source and Car Feature. Those will only become active if you add the iDataLink Maestro unit to them. Otherwise, they'll stay grayed out just like that. AV has to do with whether or not you're going to have the front camera or use it as an AV input. If you're using it as a front camera, it'll stay grayed out. If you've never done anything with it after it powers up, it'll stay grayed out. The only time it'll be highlighted is if you select it as source. Out of the box, it comes with an HD tuner. HD tuner allows you to do things like simulcast. If you notice right here, it says analog. When this switches over to digital, simply hit track up and it'll give you a second station if it's available. Open the window here to do your presets. Just simply press and hold. If you set an HD channel as a preset, when you tap it, the radio will come up linking. As we said already, it has a CD-DVD player. Next up is Bluetooth audio. And Bluetooth audio has changed a lot in these new models. A lot. And it has addressed many issues that a lot of people had. Now, we're going to talk about Bluetooth audio as well as the Bluetooth phone feature here at the same time. We're going to talk about the phone first. Go ahead and tap out of this and tap your phone icon. These units now have dual phone pairing. And what I mean by dual phone pairing is if you tap here, you have access to two phones actively. Meaning I can switch to Nando's phone and make a phone call, or I could switch to my phone and make a phone call. Now, when I get a phone call, it'll automatically switch to that phone. So for example, we'll put it on Nando, but I'll be receiving a phone call to my phone. We'll go ahead and end that. So what this means is out of the two phones you have paired to it, you can make and receive phone calls on either one. The reason why you'd pick one phone over the other to have it in the menu is for the actual phone book. As you switch, it switches the phone book. So that's really for outgoing calls. Now let's go back to Bluetooth audio. So it'll go ahead and start playing whatever phone was previously selected. But there's this icon right here. Let's tap it. And it's the same drop-down menu that was in the Bluetooth phone. So if we switch, now it's going to go ahead and start playing music off of that phone. So this gives you the ability to not only get a phone call from either phone, but also play music from either phone. Now, one thing you'll notice is right here. There's nothing there other than this generic placeholder. They finally put an image in there to show what Bluetooth audio looks like. But that's because you're in Bluetooth audio. Let's go to the next source. The next source is Pandora. Now in Pandora, you'll notice that the album artwork is there. You can also come over here and select all your station information. Now Pandora is a funny little beast in that it relies on Pandora for this to function properly. In the past, we've had a lot of complaints about Pandora doing strange things, and it does from time to time when you're not using it in CarPlay or Android Auto. So if it's not functioning properly, it really has to do more with Pandora and less to do with Pioneer. Because you have to remember, Pioneer didn't change overnight with an update. Pandora and Spotify did. Speaking of Spotify, Spotify is your next source. And Spotify is going to work just like Pandora. And because they're all being done over Bluetooth right now, you can use either phone for either service. Let's go to iPod. We'll come back to USB. Now if you notice on iPod, there again, this is all done over Bluetooth. I have no wires plugged into this phone at all. There's your album artwork. So new this year, album artwork over Bluetooth. What you have to be doing though is be playing the music in its supported app. The reason why we skipped over USB is because the USB this year has a lot of new features.
Right.
One of those is the ability to play 1080 video. It won't output 1080 video, but it will compress it down so that you don't have to do that at home. So if you have a thumb drive and you put a video on it that's 1080, it'll automatically just play. Let's take a look. So here we have our Facebook Live show that is recorded in 1080, playing perfectly fine on the unit. You can tap the screen, come over here, select another image. It's reading it. So we didn't have to do anything special to that video other than take it out of the recorder and put it into the unit. It outputs 1080, this will play 1080. Now what it's doing is it's down-resing it to 800 by 480,
Right.
But you don't have to do that anymore. That was a big pain. And honestly, this looks a lot better. So a couple other things you can do with the USB is play FLAC files encoded at 192 at 24-bit. It'll also play hard drives encoded in NTFS. So it'll still do FAT32, which is what you need for a little guy like this. But if you want to hook up a bigger hard drive, it'll play it, no problem. Keep in mind though, it's not the size of the hard drive, it's how many files you can have on it. There's a limit to that. The other thing too is speed. It's got to reference itself every time you plug it in. This only has a single USB, so if you're swapping between a hard drive and CarPlay Android Auto, that might not be such a good idea. They still recommend getting a small, somewhat small, 128 gig, let's say, thumb drive. More reasonable for it. So also on source, you have camera view. If you select camera view, it's going to pull up this. If there was cameras connected, you could see them right here. Down here in the bottom corner will allow you to switch between front camera and back camera. Here, if you tap this, this will take you back to your main screen, and it'll allow you to touch anything you want, do anything you want, and then 10 seconds after the last time you touched it, it's going to go ahead and go back to that camera view. When you're done, select X. Source off, power off. When you select source off, it goes to this right here. This allows you to still get Bluetooth calls. It still allows you to use the navigation through Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. It still gives you basic functionality. Power off. Power off is just that. It's going to shut this thing down. That's why it's asking you, are you sure you want to do this? Because once you shut it down, you're going to lose all those Bluetooth calls and navigation features. Alright, so we've talked about it enough. Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. This unit has it. It'll do both. Now what's cool about this unit, other than the previous models, as we said, this only has a single USB. So it will auto-detect.
Okay.
Meaning it doesn't matter if you have either phone, once you plug it in, it realizes what you're trying to do. So for Apple CarPlay, go ahead and plug in your phone and pay attention to the screen right here. And why I said that is, as you'll see, this icon here is for Apple CarPlay. Now on CarPlay, you have your phone, music, maps, and messages are your top features. If you select phone,
would you like to make a call or check your voicemail?
you can also select show contacts, recent, contacts. Over here you have your last 3 things you've done. So if you select maps, it'll go ahead and pull up maps. You can select destination. You can select music, playlists. Now these are all the playlists that are on your phone. It'll go ahead and start playing them. And of course the little home button. Now none of these icons are really all that necessary. The whole purpose is to just press and hold. Call Fernando Lopez.
Calling Fernando Lopez.
So if you get a text message, you press and hold. Do I have any text messages?
You have a message from Derek and a message from Drew McMullion.
You can also hold this icon here. It'll do the same thing. Now you have features such as iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora, all natively controlled in the CarPlay app. Let's go back to the main menu. We'll unplug our iPhone. Go ahead and plug in your Android phone. Now on Android, you want to make sure you've paired your Bluetooth and that you have the Android Auto app downloaded to your phone. Now we'll go back to main menu, and as you can see right here, it'll give you the name of the phone and Android Auto. Here is your maps. If you click the icon next to it, it'll give you the option to Google Maps or Waze. Here's your phone. This will list voice dial, dialed numbers, call history, and missed. This will take you back to your main menu, where it'll give you things like weather, recent calls, and if you're playing music, and that'll take you to music. Tap the icon next to that, and it'll give you a list of music service that are available to you that are downloaded on your phone. In this case, our phone has Spotify, Pandora, and Google Play. If we were listening to Pandora, we can simply click back. Tap the icon here, and you can look at your channels. Tap this icon here to take you back to your main Pioneer. Now just like Apple CarPlay, it has this microphone icon right here, as well as you can use the icon on the radio. Show me the closest target.
Showing results for show me the closest target.
Now the whole idea behind both these services is to do things without actually having to touch any buttons. So if you have a steering wheel control that has a voice prompt, this radio will allow you to integrate into it. Simply ask her what you want to do, things like make a call, call back, read me a text message, make a text message. They're all available to you. When you're done, hit the home key. You can also use the switch button. Now one other feature that was updated is AppRadio Live mode. If you're in CarPlay or Android Auto, simply touch AppRadio Live mode. The unit will reset, touch it again, and it's going to bring up AppRadio Live or AppRadio. It's going to go ahead and switch to AppRadio, where you'll see Waze. So if you have an iPhone and you'd like to use Waze, No problem. It'll do that. And unlike previous versions, you can actually see the screen. They do a really good job of up-resing the image. If you click this button here, you can hide this so you can have a full screen of Waze. Select your search icon and you can get to all your navigation. Now go back, select AppRadio Live. Once in AppRadio Live, you have your weather, you have your calendar, you have your navigation. Now, this isn't really navigation, this is more like a glorified phone book. Tap here, pick a service, pick one you like, and select Go To. Over here, select Nav. This will give you the option to use either NavMe if you've downloaded, or Waze. Select Waze, and it'll auto-launch Waze for you, with the route already in place. Now, while you're in AppRadio Live, you can play any service audio-wise that you'd like. So if you'd like to listen to Pandora, Spotify, FM radio, you can do all that. Select the orange box, which is music. Here is where you'll find your phone's music, as well as a couple other different features, such as Dash Radio, Radio Live, podcasts. And then you have this new thing here that's streaming video. It gives you trending videos. Select here as a folder, so you can pick sports. Click here, and it'll start playing.
Yep, that's me.
Now, streaming video is a weird service in that there's really no way to search it. It's just random videos that are put up. Who knows what it may turn into? Videos here that gives you the ability to search doesn't work, so who knows? That might be a future update. One of the nice things now with the new update to AppRadio Live is it gives you the ability, if you have an iPhone, to actually do Waze and use Waze. Looks really nice, crystal clear, unlike previous.
Really good.
Yeah. So if you don't want to do CarPlay, or you want to do CarPlay, but you also want to do Waze for your navigation, but then when you're done going somewhere, switch over to CarPlay, you can actually switch between the apps now fairly easily. Makes things nice. Now, if you have Android, you could also use the AppRadio Live features that it has built into it. Just simply select AppRadio Live in the app, and you can look at the weather, you can look at your Waze through AppRadio Live, so you can still do all those same features. Doesn't matter. You do have to download the two apps, which is AppRadio Live, and then AppRadio, and of course Waze, if you want it to work.
Waze, yes.
Now, a lot of the cool things there, but none of this really matters if it doesn't sound good.
Definitely.
So, last but not least, before we let you guys get out of here, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the sound settings that the radio has. Alright, so what you want to do is select gears, select speaker, select graphic EQ. This unit has a 13-band EQ. Simply touch it, you can drag the signal wherever you would like. You have 2 custom settings, as well as 5 presets: super bass, powerful, normal, vocal, and flat. You have balance and fader control. You can simply drag around or use the buttons to move it where you'd like. Mute level. Mute level is just that. How quiet do you want the radio when it needs to do something? You have mute or attenuate. Mute will shut it all the way down, or just turn the feature all the way off. Source level adjust. Source level adjust allows you to adjust each source, with the exception of FM, to its maximum potential, so that all sources sound like they're playing at the same level no matter which one you're on. So basically, if you have the radio at 24 and you switch to Bluetooth, you don't want it to sound quieter than the source you were listening to before. You can use source level adjust to fix that. Subwoofer on or off. Speaker level control. This allows you to adjust the level of each speaker individually. This is helpful for when you do time correction. It's also where you control the volume of the subwoofer. Listening position. Listening position is the time correction. You can pick one of the 4 quadrants, which is front, front right, front left, or all, as well as off. Time alignment. Time alignment is the nuts and bolts of seat positioning. This allows you to go in and custom tailor it to your car. So for example, if you pick front left, it's going to give you a generic setting of what it may be. You can go in and press these buttons to adjust it. Simply take a tape measure and measure from your head to the speaker and then enter the information. Now, if you don't want to do that, no problem. Select Auto EQ. Auto EQ is done by using one of Pioneer's microphones, plugging it into the aux jack, putting the unit in standby, putting the microphone where your head would be, and selecting Start through the EQ menu. It'll go ahead and take care of all those settings for you. Now once you get that done, the next thing you're going to want to do is select Save Settings. Save Settings is just that. Once you find an EQ setting you like, select Save Settings. That way if the battery's disconnected, you can then select Load Settings. It'll go ahead and put those settings that you just did back into the radio. Bass Boost has 4-step bass boost. What that allows you to do is if you have music that has a very low bass, or a bass that isn't that good, or a very dry bass, you can select Bass Boost to fix that. Loudness has 3-step loudness control. If you listen to music at quiet levels and you'd still like impact to your music, you're going to want to use loudness. Automatic level control. Automatic level control is used for media that might be recorded at different levels. So for example, if you have an iPod and it has a bunch of music on it that is all different ages and whatnot, and they're recorded at different levels, you can select this and it'll give you 2 choices, in which case it'll auto level the music for you. Next is Sound Retriever. Sound Retriever is for compressed media. It helps make it sound more lifelike. Select Mode 1, Mode 2, or Off to make your music sound a little more lifelike and better. Alright guys, that's it. How exciting.
That was exciting.
That was exciting.
Yeah.
So this new unit does a lot of new cool features that none of the other NEX have.
No?
Previous NEX, you had to use things like HDMI cables and stuff like that. Which brings me to a good point. This unit does not have HDMI, as you know, because we showed you everything it has on the back.
Mm-hmm.
If you'd like to do video on it, we have a video for it. It's kind of funny, video for video. Anyways, go ahead and check that out. It'll show you how to get HDMI video to play on this radio. Otherwise, Fernando.
Alright, if you like this video, please subscribe, share, like. You know where you find us: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, also in Twitter.
That's right.
Yep.
And we do a Facebook Live show every Monday night, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time, where you can communicate with us live, ask us questions, we say hi, all that fun stuff. It's like a party.
It's like a party.
Alright guys, you guys have a great night as always, and we'll see you later next time. Bye.